In this video, we're going to analyze the aggregate revenue effects over a 5-year period of the reform we specified in the previous video, which eliminated the lifestyle relief beginning in 2022. So let's look at the details. So we did this before, but now we're going to add something new. The TS tax, time series tax option. That tells the model, I want an extra output file that has data in it that will allow us to generate a graph of aggregate revenue over these 5 years. But before we do that, we're going to look at the standard table output, which has the aggregate totals as a table rather than as a graph. So let's move to this is where we left off. The prior video where we had confirmed that our reform file was in fact eliminating the lifestyle relief by setting the cap to 0 beginning in 2022. That's what we see on this row here. Okay, I'm going to clear the screen to have a little bit less cluttered look. And I'm going to go up and I'm going to do this just like before, the no dump, but I'm going to add the TS tax option. Now, you say, well, how do I know to type that? Well, a while ago during the training, you were asked to read the help output. And this is one of the things there that's in the help output and describes exactly what it does. So going back again and again to refresh your memory about what the options are and what they do is a useful thing. So we're going to run this now. And this is going to show us 5 years of output. And here's the thing that's different than before because we added this. Look at this. There's a new output file that the TS tax option told the model to write. And take a look at its name. It uses, oh, sorry, my fault. It uses the beginning tax year as the date, and then it has a different extension, TST, short for TS tax. And here's the key. Unlike all the other tables, this has information about all the years. So if we want to do simply look at that file, we can, on the screen, we could go into our editor and look at it, but it's pretty simple. It's got a header row and then a row for each of the years in our simulation, and it shows current law and reform aggregate tax revenues. These are in billions of ringgit. So how we turn those data into a graph? Well, there's an MYI plot tool. And you simply give the name of this output file to the plot tool. And well, actually, let's do the help first. So the basic idea is that you enter the name of the file, but there's some options. The key option here is this one. What kind of graph file do you want? The MYI plot tool knows how to make 3 different kinds of graphs. Let's talk about those for just a second. The CVG format, PDF format, or EPS format. Now, most of you have probably heard of PDF. That's Adobe's portable document format system. And that's a real common way to pass around documents or graphs or whatever. If you don't know what EPS is, that stands for Encapsulated PostScript, then you probably don't want to select it. That's for doing high quality production of written documents that would have embedded graphs in them, like if you were using the LaTeX writing system. The SVG format is what you would use if you want to show your graph on a web page. This is the standard graph format that web browsers know how to show. Now, all three of these are high quality graphs. They're not a whole bunch of dots that look grainy when you make them big. They're called scalar graphics. So you can make them as big as you want, and all the lines will be smooth and very professional looking. So what we want to do is we want to do MYI plot with this output file, and we want to specify a format. I'm just going to do PDF. Now, you'll notice by reading this, if you don't use the format command, then it's going to come out as an SVG format. But I want to show it here as a PDF file because it's easy to display that. You can display that if you have the Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is a free program that a lot of people have on their computers. If you're on Windows, apparently, built into Windows 10 as a reader program. I'm going to be using the preview program, which is built into a Mac to view the PDF file. So if we run this command, all it does is it says it's created a graph file. Now you notice that the graph file is the same name as the table file, except it has the extension that we picked on the end. So we're going to copy and paste that. Now on a Mac, you can't do this on Windows, I don't believe, but you can just use the open command. Now watch what happens here. So this is the preview program. There we go. Got it all in the window now here. Let's make it a little smaller so you can see the whole thing. Let me adjust the size here. Okay, there we can see the whole thing now. So as you can see, we've got the tax year plotted on the x-axis, aggregate tax revenue in billions of ringgit. And in the green color, we have current law, and the salmon color is the reform. Well, the fact that revenues are higher beginning in 2022 makes sense because we've eliminated one of the deductions that people can take against their, to lower their chargeable income. So now their chargeable income is going to be higher in each year beginning in 2020. So that's the visualization. Let's look at the, I'm just going to look at the contents of the table file. Now, this comes out every time you run the model, unless you suppress it by using the no table option. So there are three tables here, okay? I looked in the 2021 table, which was the wrong thing to do, seeing as how this was before the reform. So I'm going to change this to the first year of the reform, 2022. Sorry about that. That was my mistake. So, but same difference. There's three tables. The first table is current law. Second table is under the reform. And the third table is the difference between the reform and the current law. Now let's look at the structure of each table. So what this shows you is that the model for all 370,000 filing units is doing two complete tax calculations, one under current law and the other under the reform. And then it's adding them all up to get the aggregate results. So the aggregate results are in the bottom of each table. The A on the left stands for aggregate or all. The weighted number of tax returns is slightly more than 4 million. This is the income measure that we're using, and here is the personal income tax column. So this shows in 2022 that we've got under current law 31.12. So we got the same kind of table under the reform, and the 3112 goes up to 3170. So it's an increase of what? Only less than 0.6 of a billion ringgit. That's not very big. And here, if we had stopped with the first two tables, the first thing everybody would do when they looked at the first two tables is scramble to pick up their calculator to start doing some subtractions. Well, this third table is the changes, the reform-induced changes. So it does the subtraction for you. So it shows you that the actual change when you do the arithmetic here on the totals is 0.58 billion ringgit. Okay, so now in every table, there's a whole bunch of other rows. Let's look at those and understand those. What we've done is this is under the reform. What we've done here is we've taken all the 370,000 filers, we've sorted them by full income, and then what we've done is divide them into 10 equally sized groups. These are what are called deciles, and so they're numbered from 0 through 9. And so you've got 10 equally sized groups, and we're showing the subtotals. So if you, for example, total up the numbers for these 10 numbers that are in blue under the personal income tax column, you will get 31.7. Now, we're rounding to 2 digits, so it might be slightly off due to rounding error, but that's basically the way it goes. So one of the most interesting things is to look at this table, the change, because what this does is show how much tax revenue goes up among each one of the deciles. So what we see here is that the total is 0.58, but almost all of it is in the top 20 or 30% of the income distribution. So that's how to read these tables. Okay, we'll look at the distributional effects in more detail and graphically in the next video.